you can tell that I'm in a pretty good mood, and I am. And that's what today's video is about. And for a very odd reason. So right now, in case you're wondering, I'm in the tail end of my first chemo cycle. Each cycle is about 2 weeks. I get a big shot of meds at the beginning, kind of knocks you over, and then the meds stop and my body recovers for a few days until the next one. And so I'm at the tail end, which means my body has recovered, and it sure does feel good. The other part of it is I seem to be doing pretty well with this particular chemo regimen. So that's always a crapshoot for an awful lot of cancer patients. And the unfortunate people who actually react poorly to chemo. There's a fair number, and really absolutely debilitating. This is tough stuff. And but for some reason, I'm escaping the worst of it. Cancer's a beast. And I never truly understood how nasty it is, to the point that one of the only treatments that we have is called chemotherapy, which is essentially the injections of strong medicine, if not outright poisons, into your body, so that it can target those cancer cells which are misbehaving. But also, unfortunately, it has to take down a whole bunch of good cells, and that's what brings the body down. If things work enough, those cancer cells die, and you get a reprieve. If your cancer is caught early enough, it's a reprieve that lasts an awful long time, and in fact, you can have a completely normal life. When you hit stage 4, metastatic cancer, which is what I have, the chances of a reprieve of that nature is very slim, if not none. The only question is, what is the amount of time that I can get the treatment? And you might think, well, for as long as I remember, we've been donating money. People have been raising an awful lot of funds to fuel the research that we all know about. Shouldn't that have done something? It absolutely has. Miracles have emerged from that cancer research. Medical science now have a pretty near complete understanding of how all the pieces fit that trigger cancer. We also have an amazing amount of knowledge on what kind of crap we put in our bodies that create the situation for cancer to emerge. We know a whole bunch of stuff about what cancer is. And on a few fronts, our advancements in the cure rates or the suppression of cancer rates, for example, in childhood leukemia, it's astounding. People are living normal lives. Having said that, for the majority of the cancers that plague people today, at least in this country, you can't say that. In fact, I would go further. The progress, as I learn more about this disease, the progress of the medical science for colorectal cancer, especially in its metastatic state, as I have, is unpleasantly small. One of my oncologists, she said, hey, when she started her career as an oncologist, there was only one drug that was available to her to deal with my particular disease. And that was something that extended your life on average about 6 months. But today, if you actually look at least in my province, the Ontario guidelines on approved cancer drugs, there are minimum 6 for my specific narrow stage of cancer, 6 possible drugs, and also at least 6 more combinations of these and different dosages and different blends, and a few other alternate medically approved treatments. And this is remarkable in so many different ways. And in fact, it is the science. But what is the human dimension of all of this? And that's where I think my own interpretation takes a bit of a turn. The net result of all of that research identifying different drug formulation is now oncologists can extend my life to about 1.5 to 2 years. From a statistical point of view, that's an astounding improvement. From a human perspective, it really illustrates just how tough this disease is to defeat. And the fundamental reason is cancer is based on mutation. It gets to the disease through mutation, and because it's fundamentally cells increasing at a hyper rate, that mutation keeps happening. So one of the things that happens once your cancer has advanced the kind of level it has with me, the mutation cycle can readily produce a workaround for any effective drug. That means it can adapt. It also means that there is no one disease. There are as many different types of cancers as there are people on this planet. That's why it's so ugly, and that's why, at least on the chemotherapy side, the research tends to focus on now identifying new drugs, then combinations and different dosages so that they can nudge that number forward. And how do I deal with that? And really the only answer that I have been able to find is really based on that cliche, you live life one day at a time. And you know, I'm as guilty as anybody that we tend to throw around these cliches, but it's true. It really is the only way to live with this disease. But it's not that simple. And in fact, living one day at a time is very counterintuitive to all of us, because we tend to always think about, you know, where is this going to lead to, and we worry about all sorts of crap. And you really have to discipline yourself not to do that. Well, of course, one way is, as I've mentioned, you go and do things that are undeniably positive, like taking a walk through these woods. And of course, I'm incredibly fortunate to have access to woods like this so conveniently. So I do that a lot. Puttering about our place here, and fixing things, and doing things that actually build and construct, and anything that is creative in nature, where something comes out of it that didn't exist before, like these videos. Fundamentally, these videos have been an amazing bit of therapy for me. Not only is it creative, but it forces me to actually learn the right stuff about this disease and how to live with it, so that I can offer some view to you that is a bit more cohesive and not overly depressing. It has been a wonderful bit of therapy, and I hope this continues. The other trick, and I'll conclude this video with that, it is, I think about the person that I am. And moreover, I think about the person who will be there when the time finally comes, whether that's in a couple of years, 10 years from now, whenever that is. I think about who that person will be. And in the end, I don't want to be that guy that goes out kicking and screaming and fighting for every hour, day, even a year more of life by demanding different types of treatment and spending night and day looking for miracles that likely don't exist. I don't want to be that guy. And in fact, I want to be the opposite in many ways. I have now had the privilege of witnessing people who do pass through this disease and end it in a very different way. If I think about myself, the kind of words that I wouldn't mind having associated with me are words like courage, words like dignity, words like love. And it would be amazing if I could spend the days that I have focusing on that. How do I become that guy? That really is where my head goes a lot these days, and it's really quite helpful. Because that guy is likely going to have a lot more fulfillment when the time comes, and is going to have a family and a friend network that is also at peace. And to me, that guy is somebody who finishes what he was trying to do, tidies up his messes, and concludes his affairs in about as good a way as anybody can. And also, I think about that guy being the person that I should have been all along. And it shouldn't have taken this disease to come to that realization. So, I don't know how much more in terms of time I have in front of me. It really doesn't matter, because, you know, whether it's 10 months, whether it's a bunch of years, I still believe that there's plenty of time for me to work on being that person that I want to be, or that I should have been all along. And it's as simple as that. And with that, I will say goodbye and wish you the best. Be well.